Elena clutched the edge of the ancient oak table in the grand hall of the pack's stronghold, her knuckles white as the Alpha King's voice boomed through the room like thunder. "You are nothing to me, Elena, a weak link in a chain that must remain unbreakable." His eyes, those piercing golden orbs that had once held a flicker of something she dared to call affection, now burned with cold disdain. The entire pack watched in stunned silence as King Darius, the unchallenged alpha of the Silver Moon pack, turned his back on her, his supposed mate. "Leave and never return." The words sliced through her like silver blades, and she felt her world shatter in that instant. The bond she thought unbreakable snapping like brittle ice. She stumbled out into the biting night air, the moon hanging full and mocking above the dense forest. Tears blurred her vision, but she wouldn't let them fall, not yet. How could he do this? After everything? Elena had hidden her true self for so long, suppressing the heat that raged within her during the lunar cycles, all to protect him from the truth she feared would destroy them both. But now, abandoned and betrayed, she ran. Her legs carried her deep into the woods, away from the pack that had never truly accepted her, the ordinary girl with no remarkable lineage, no fierce wolf spirit that howled for dominance. Just Elena, kind-hearted and quiet, the one who mended wounds and listened to the elders' stories. Now cast out like yesterday's kill, asterisk days blurred into nights as Elena fought for survival in the wild fringes of the territory. The forest was unforgiving, its shadows whispering dangers she wasn't equipped to face. She scavenged berries and roots, her hands raw from digging, her body aching from the cold that seeped into her bones. But worse than the hunger was the ache in her chest, the phantom pull of the mate bond that Darius had severed, or so he thought. She could still feel him, faint and distant, like a ghost haunting her every breath. Why had he rejected her? Was it the rumors? The whispers that she was too plain, too human-like in a world of shifters? Elena pressed her palm against her stomach where the heat simmered low, a secret fire she dared not let ignite. If he knew, if anyone knew, it would change everything. But hiding it drained her, left her weak and vulnerable. And as a lone wolf howled in the distance, she wondered if she'd make it through another night, in the quiet moments by a trickling stream. Elena allowed herself to remember the way Darius had first looked at her during the pack's annual gathering, his towering frame cutting through the crowd like a predator on the prowl. He was everything an alpha should be, broad shoulders rippling with muscle, dark hair falling in wild waves, and that commanding presence that made knees buckle. But beneath it all, she'd seen glimpses of vulnerability, moments when his golden eyes softened just for her. "You're different," he'd murmured once, his voice a low growl that sent shivers down her spine. Different, that's what scared her. She wasn't like the others. Her shifts were rarer, her senses dulled compared to the pack's elite. Ordinary, they called her. But the heat, it burned hotter in her than in any wolf she'd known, a force she buried deep to avoid drawing attention. Now, alone, she whispered to the stars, "Why couldn't you see me, Darius?" "Really see me?" A rustle in the bushes snapped her from her thoughts. Her heart pounded as a shadow emerged, not a wolf, but a rogue shifter, eyes gleaming with malice. Well, a lone female. "Smells like you're ripe for the taking." His grin was feral, and Elena's blood ran cold. She backed away, her mind racing. The heat, she could feel it stirring, unbidden, a wave of warmth that might betray her if she didn't control it. "Stay back," she warned, her voice steady despite the fear clawing at her throat. But he lunged, and in that desperate moment, she let a sliver of her power slip, her nails elongating just enough to slash at his arm. He yelped, retreating into the darkness, but the encounter left her shaking. How long could she hide? How long before the heat consumed her, drawing every male in the vicinity like moths to a flame. Back at the stronghold, Darius paced the stone floors of his chamber, the weight of his crown heavier than ever. The pack celebrated his strength in rejecting a weak mate, but inside, regret gnawed at him like a persistent wound. Elena's face haunted him, those soft brown eyes, filled with hurt he had inflicted. He slammed his fist against the wall, cracks spiderwebbing from the impact. Damn it, he growled to the empty room. Why had he done it? Pressure from the elders, the need to appear unyielding, the fear that bonding with someone so ordinary would weaken his role. But now, the bond tugged at him, insistent, refusing to fade. He could sense her out there, struggling, and it drove him mad. His control, that ironclad dominance he prided himself on, cracked a little more each day. He summoned his beta thorn, a loyal shadow with a knowing smirk. Find her, Darius ordered, his voice rough. Bring her back. Thorn raised an eyebrow. And if she resists Alpha? Darius's eyes flashed gold. She won't have a choice. Elena huddled in a makeshift shelter of branches and leaves, the rain pounding relentlessly outside. Her body trembled not just from the chill, but from the heat building within, a tidal wave she fought to suppress. It had started subtly, a flush in her cheeks, a restlessness in her limbs, but now it demanded release. She bit her lip, drawing blood, anything to distract from the ache. Memories flooded her, Darius's rare smiles, the way his hand had brushed hers during a hunt, igniting sparks she pretended not to feel. He was cold, yes, distant to the world, but with her there had been heat, unspoken and simmering. Why hide it? Because she knew the truth, her heat wasn't normal. It was intense, overwhelming, capable of driving even the strongest alpha to madness. If he claimed her, it might consume him, strip away his control. Better to be ordinary, forgotten. But as the fever rose, she whispered his name like a prayer. Darius. A branch snapped nearby, and her senses sharpened despite her weakness. Footsteps multiple. Pack warriors? Her heart raced. She peeked through the foliage, spotting Thorin leading a small group, their eyes scanning the woods. They were close, too close. Elena slipped out the back, her bare feet silent on the damp earth. But the heat betrayed her, a subtle scent wafting on the wind. One warrior paused, nostrils flaring. I smell her, and something else. Thorn's voice cut through. The alpha wants her alive. Move. Elena ran, branches whipping her skin, her breath coming in gasps. Could she outrun them? Or was this the end of her solitude? Darius stood at the edge of the forest, the moon casting his silhouette in silver. The pull was stronger now, a magnetic force drawing him toward her. Regret burned in his chest. He'd been a fool, blinded by duty and pride. Elena wasn't weak. She was a storm contained, and he'd unleashed her into the wild. His fists clenched as Thorn's report echoed in his mind. She's hiding something, Alpha. Her scent. It's changing. Changing? Darius's wolf stirred, possessive and wild. What if another claimed her? The thought sent a surge of fury through him, his control fraying at the edges. He shifted partially, claws extending, ready to hunt. Elena, he murmured, the name of vow. He'd find her, drag her back, and make her see she belonged to him. Elena collapsed against a tree, exhausted, the heat now a roaring inferno in her veins. Sweat beaded on her skin, her vision blurring. She couldn't hold it back much longer. Footsteps thundered closer. Thorn's team. There, one shouted. She pushed off the trunk, staggering forward, but a root caught her foot, sending her tumbling down a ravine. Pain exploded in her ankle, but she bit back a cry. Hiding in the underbrush, she held her breath as they passed overhead. Close call. Too close. But the relief was short-lived. The heat pulsed, demanding, and she curled into herself, tears finally falling. I can't. I won't let it win. Yet deep down, she yearned for him, for the alpha who had broken her heart. Asterisk in the stronghold's war room. Darius stared at the map, his finger tracing possible paths. She's out there, suffering because of me. The words slipped out, raw and unfiltered. Thorn watched him, concern etching his features. Alpha, your eyes. They're shifting. Darius glanced in the marigold, bleeding into black, his wolf pushing forward. The regret had morphed into something darker, a need that clawed at his insides. He had always been in control, the king who ruled with an iron fist, emotions locked away. But Elena had cracked that facade, and now the dam was breaking. If I don't find her soon, he didn't finish, but the implication hung heavy. Loss of control, madness. He stormed out, shifting fully into his massive black wolf form, bounding into the night. The hunt was on.